Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Climate Conversations. I'm Erica.
And I'm Marco. Thanks for joining us again. We have even more to discuss about climate change today.
Last time, we talked about climate justice, adaptation, mitigation, and much more. Today, we'll cover some new topics and go deeper into others. Let's start with something very interesting, the role of nature in fighting climate change. Marco, how can nature help us?
Nature can help us in many ways. One of the most important ways is through natural climate solutions. This means protecting, restoring, and managing forests, wetlands, and other ecosystems to absorb carbon dioxide from the air.
That sounds great. Can you give us some examples of these natural climate solutions?
Sure, planting trees and restoring forests are great examples. Mangrove forests, which grow in coastal areas, can also store a lot of carbon and protect against storm surges. Peatlands, which are wet, boggy areas, store even more carbon than forests when left undisturbed.
It's amazing how much nature can do. But what about biodiversity? How is it related to climate change?
Biodiversity means the variety of life on Earth. Healthy ecosystems with lots of different plants and animals are better at absorbing carbon dioxide and adapting to changes. Protecting biodiversity is crucial for fighting climate change.
So, by protecting different species and their habitats, we can help fight climate change. Let's talk about another topic, green jobs. What are green jobs and why are they important?
Green jobs are jobs that contribute to preserving or restoring the environment. This includes jobs in renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable agriculture, and more. Green jobs are important because they help build a sustainable economy and create opportunities for people.
That's great. Can you give us some examples of green jobs?
Sure, some examples include solar panel installers, wind turbine technicians, energy auditors, and environmental engineers. There are also green jobs in fields like public transportation, waste management, and sustainable forestry.
It's good to know that there are many career options in the green economy. Now, let's talk about something many people are curious about, the impact of fashion on climate change. How does the fashion industry affect the environment?
The fashion industry has a big impact on the environment. Producing clothes uses a lot of water, energy, and chemicals. It also creates a lot of waste. Fast fashion, where clothes are made quickly and cheaply, is especially harmful because it encourages people to buy more and throw away more.
That's troubling. What can we do to reduce the environmental impact of our clothes?
We can buy fewer, better quality clothes that last longer. Choosing secondhand or vintage clothes is also a great option. We can also support brands that use sustainable practices and materials.
And what about caring for our clothes? Does that make a difference?
Yes, it does. Washing clothes in cold water, air drying them, and repairing them when they break can reduce their environmental impact. We can also donate or recycle clothes we no longer need instead of throwing them away.
Those are excellent tips. Now, let's talk about another important topic, water conservation. Why is water conservation important in the context of climate change?
Water conservation is crucial because climate change affects the availability and quality of water. Some areas may experience droughts, while others may have too much water due to heavy rains and flooding. Conserving water helps ensure that we have enough for everyone.
What are some ways we can conserve water at home?
There are many ways to save water. We can take shorter showers, fix leaks, use water-efficient fixtures, and water our gardens in the early morning or late evening to reduce evaporation. Collecting rainwater for garden use is also a good idea.
Those are practical tips. Now, let's move on to talk about urban planning. How can cities help fight climate change?
Cities can play a big role in fighting climate change by planning for sustainability. This includes creating green spaces, improving public transportation, and designing buildings that use less energy. Cities can also support renewable energy projects and reduce waste.
Green spaces are important for cities. How do they help?
Green spaces, like parks and gardens, help absorb carbon dioxide, reduce the urban heat island effect, and improve air quality. They also provide places for people to relax and enjoy nature, which is good for mental health.
Public transportation is another important part of urban planning. How can improving public transportation help the environment?
Improving public transportation can reduce the number of cars on the road, which lowers greenhouse gas emissions and reduces air pollution. It also makes cities more livable by reducing traffic congestion and making it easier for people to get around.
It's clear that cities can do a lot to fight climate change. Let's talk about sustainable tourism. How can we travel in a way that is better for the environment?
Sustainable tourism means traveling in a way that respects the environment and local communities. This can include choosing eco-friendly accommodations, supporting local businesses, and minimizing waste. We can also choose to travel by train or bus instead of flying when possible.
That's great advice. What should we look for when choosing eco-friendly accommodations?
Look for accommodations that have environmental certifications, use renewable energy, conserve water, and reduce waste. Many eco-friendly hotels also support local conservation efforts and offer activities that educate guests about the environment.
It's good to know we can make a difference even when we're on vacation. Now, let's answer some more questions from our listeners. Our first question is from Emily in the United States. She asks, how does climate change affect agriculture?
Great question. Emily, climate change affects agriculture by changing weather patterns, which can lead to droughts, floods, and other extreme weather events. It can also affect the growing seasons and the health of crops. Farmers may need to adapt by changing the types of crops they grow or using new farming techniques.
Thanks, Marco. Our next question is from Hugo in France. He asks, what is the role of oceans in regulating the climate?
The oceans play a big role in regulating the climate. They absorb a lot of the heat from the sun and distribute it around the world through currents. The oceans also absorb carbon dioxide from the air, which helps to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere.
That's fascinating. Our last question is from Aya in Japan. She asks, what are some ways to educate others about climate change?
There are many ways to educate others about climate change. We can share information through social media, organize community events, and participate in or create educational programs at schools and workplaces. It's important to communicate the facts clearly and motivate people to take action.
Those are all great suggestions. We've covered a lot of topics today. Before we finish, do you have any final thoughts, Marco?
Yes, Erica, climate change is a complex issue, but there are many ways we can make a difference. By staying informed, making sustainable choices, and working together, we can create a better future for our planet. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to take action.
Well said, Marco. Thanks, everyone, for listening to Climate Conversations. We hope you learned something new today.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends. See you next time.
Our podcast ends here. For more, just subscribe.